Let's begin today with our bolster if you have one, supported with a block underneath the head, maybe with a bend in the knees to begin. You can bring the hands down to the side to help support, bringing you down. Adjust the sit bones by lifting the bottom, maybe give it a little wiggle, and then drop it back down. If it feels good, just give those knees a little rock from side to side. With the bend still in the knees, wiggle the shoulders down, making sure you're not sliding down the bolster. Now, if this feels a little too intense underneath or for the back body around the low and lumbar, too much flexion here, you can add a folded blanket or something underneath your bum, maybe just sitting up on the hands if that feels good. And you can determine when you want to extend the leg. Keep a bend in the knees with the feet wide, turning the big toes in to just allow the knees and legs to kind of support one another. Or any point in time it feels good, you can extend down through the legs. So just experiment with what feels good in your body. Sometimes it takes a few rounds of breath to begin to give our bodies the opportunity to progressively relax. It does take time for a physical body to release tension, and sometimes in those habitual areas even longer. And then check in with the neck once the arms are resting down at the sides. There's space between the ears and the shoulders. Just make sure the neck feels nice and long, the head supported. So the chin's not lifting. We're not feeling compression or flexion through the back of the neck. And once you're in position, I invite you to take just a nice long breath in through the nose. Maybe hold at the top and then just let that breath go, maybe with a sigh. Maybe a couple more like that. Big breaths in, filling up, slow and full. Maybe the slight holds and those long, slow exhalations, releasing all tension from the body. When it feels right at the end of one of those intentional, fuller, tension relieving breaths, just letting go of all control and beginning to allow the body to breathe organically. Maintaining that awareness on how the body expands and fills up with your inhalations, and how everything softens back towards the earth on your exhalations. And just notice as that breath continues in that easy rhythmic ebb and flow, your awareness still remains on the breath, and you can bring awareness back to the breath anytime you find the thoughts getting pulled away into the past or the future. Softening any areas of tension as you maintain this easy breath, relaxing and smoothing across the brow, relaxing the temples, the eyes, the eyeballs, relaxing the jaw. Just noticing the surfaces of your body that make contact to the surfaces beneath you. Notice where there's any space between your body and the floor. Maybe around the Achilles tendons or under the knees. Maybe that space behind the neck, maybe at the wrists. Maybe the forearms or elbows are floating slightly for you. Maybe they're making contact. So just noticing that breath still easy. Just imagining your body or observing perhaps your body slowly growing heavier and heavier, acknowledging it takes time to release tension. Approximately 15 minutes for us to reach that full relaxation response. So let's just observe, imagining with each exhalation, the body growing a little more relaxed, a little heavier. And then just make these next few rounds of breath slightly fuller and longer than the last. So now we're moving into pranayama or breath work, slightly manipulating the breath. So if the breath feels shallow on the inhales or exhales or both, just starting to very slowly lengthen out the inhalations and the exhalations. And if it's available now, allowing those exhalations just to linger slightly longer than the inhales. Just noticing if there's slight or longer pauses in the spaces between those inhalations and exhalations. There's no expectation, there's no right or wrong, just observing your own breath as your body and mind begin to arrive in the present moment and come into a fuller relaxation. Not worrying if the mind is remaining busy or continually pulling you away from the present moment. It's okay. With grace, kindness, patience, and compassion for yourself, knowing the breath is there to anchor your awareness back to anytime you need to pull yourself back. Good. Let's begin to just gently wiggle through the fingers and the toes. Only if the head and neck feel really comfortable here, maybe just a little gentle rock from side to side. Good. If the legs are extended, we'll start to take a bend into the knees, maybe just bringing the feet a little wider, big toes turning in. You might push into the feet to lift the hips and pelvis and gently drop them back down. We're going to slide a bend into the elbows and draw the arms out to a side to cactus. If you can, just let that gentle force of gravity allow the arms to drop open. Wiggle those shoulders down and just feel that bigger opening around the front of the chest, the shoulders. Maybe it's I am enough or I am whole or I treat myself with kindness and compassion today. Whatever it is that surfaces for you that you need the most or want to manifest more in your life, repeating your intention to yourself a few times with conviction. Good. And then we're going to slowly draw those elbows in towards one another. So the elbows are just coming above the chest. Good. Clasp through the hands, reach the arms up towards the sky, and then if available, bring the upper arms overhead, so they're on either side of the temples. Pull your low belly in, so we're not lifting the spine away from our supports or the surface beneath, but we're lengthening and reaching those hands away from the crown. Wiggle the shoulders down, so there's still lots of space between the ears and the shoulders, but we're extending through the arms. Good. And then we'll send the arms back up over the chest. We'll release the hands and we'll wrap the arms around the chest, one arm over the other, one arm beneath the other. Just reach for opposite shoulders. Hug that heart space in nice and tight and gentle so you can still allow the body to breathe without too much resistance. Just feeling that back space open up around your heart as we bring in a little more space through the back body, now closing in through the front. Let's inhale, float the arms back to the sky. We'll exhale, just floating the arms down to the sides. Let's shift our feet over to one edge of the mat. Just kind of roll onto the side, nice and slow, tucking the chin, maybe staying close to the eyes, and set your props off to the side. We're going to come back onto our back body for a little more, for a little hips here. So coming on down, grab your blocks if you like to have them for Baddha Konasana or bound angle pose or anything you like to have here. With the knees still bent, we'll walk the feet in, take a big breath in. As we exhale, drop open through the knees. So the soles of the feet could come together. Maybe you like to bring the hands to the low abdomen. Maybe you like to rest them down at the sides. And just making sure the head and neck feel comfortable, relaxing any lingering areas of tension. So just continuing to make adjustments, finding your Baddha Konasana pose here from our reclined position. Just allowing those legs to drop heavy, maybe coming back to your breath for a few rounds with the hands at the low belly or awareness to the abdomen, coming into diaphragmatic breathing. Inhaling, abdomen expands as the diaphragm presses down, creating space in the chest for the lungs, creating that filling up sensation of the belly. And as we exhale, the diaphragm draws up, helping to press the air out of the lungs, creating that drawing down and softening sensation of the abdomen. Not just feeling the belly rise and fall, but also being aware of the sides and back of the body expanding and contracting. Softening any areas that are holding lingering tension. Good. Hands can stay where they are. You can bring them back to cactus, to T, or place them under the head to mirror the lower body. We're going to focus on hips here, nice and slow somatic movement. So separate the feet a little bit away from one another, keeping the knees dropped open. Take a big breath in. As you exhale, begin to close through the legs. We're going to do this very, very slow. You might feel a little bouncing. You might feel little areas where the movement isn't smooth. So just doing your best to keep the breath rhythmic, smoothing any bounciness or jaggedness of your movement. You might feel the body wobble a little from side to side, or things might kind of more aggressively start to bounce. This is just getting into areas where we're holding stagnant energy, emotion. So I'm still moving to draw the knees closed. If you get to the top, you're welcome to just open them a little slower. Maybe taking a moment at the top if you're not there already, just to pause, relax the body, take a breath in. And we'll begin on our exhale to open back up through the knees. So again, just very, very, very slow. Maybe staying close to the eyes and focusing on maintaining that easy rhythmic breath. Try to relax the body fully between both the external rotations and then coming back to more neutral. If you get to an area again that feels unsmooth or bouncy, maybe pause, breathe easy, and then flow and move when you're ready. We're going to do this a couple more times, just taking your time. Good. We're going to finish this last set. Depending where you are, we're going to meet with the feet planted and a bend in the knees. Good. Once you're here at the top, heel to the feet a little wider. Let the knees drop in, big toes in. And just pause for a couple more rounds of breath, keeping closed through the eyes if that feels okay to do so, relaxing your jaw and just becoming again aware of any sensation you feel in the body, especially around the hips. Maybe you can feel a shift of energy moving through the body, just becoming aware of anything that arises for you. Again, with no expectations and refraining from labeling anything as good or bad or right or wrong. Good. At the end of your exhale, we're going to heel toe the feet to about hip distance apart. Maybe walk the heels in a little more closer to the glutes. Release the hands, bring them down to the side with the palms down. Just wiggle those shoulders gently in and lengthen the fingers down towards the bottom edge of the mat. Not too aggressively by any means. And then tuck the chin just slightly to feel that length through all sides of the neck. We're going to come into our pelvic rolls now. So we're going to take a breath in as we exhale. We're just going to tilt the pelvis. The tail lifts away as we press the lumbar spine into the mat. And then we're going to inhale just to release. So again, eyes closed, just really dropping into the experience. Every sensation you feel, every muscle that contracts and releases as we begin to move with the breath here. Very slow rocking through the pelvis. Good. Now, the next time you exhale, peeling the tail, pressing the lumbar down, squeeze the glutes. Hold at the top in the space between the breath, and then slowly release that contraction and let the spine come back to neutral, feeling this sacral area or the lumbar lift. So, coming to the top and really squeezing the glutes. Again, you might feel a little bouncy or shaky. And we're training our tissues to contract and relax in a very mindful way, especially trying to get into those areas of the body where we tend to hold that tension. And as we hold that tension over years of just experiencing life, trauma, some of the more challenging things, and holding these issues in our tissues, it eventually causes those tissues to break down. And as we're all aging from the time we're born into this existence, it's important to move through some of these mindful practices to retrain our tissues to relax for a better quality of life as we move forward into our future chapters. We're still continuing. Now, the next time we exhale and lift the tail slightly, curving the spine, we're just going to hold at the top and squeeze. So, really squeeze those glutes, maybe even contract through the pelvic floor and start to squeeze the abdominal muscles in. Again, you might be a little bouncy here. Do what your body needs. do what supports you best or stay here for a few more rounds of breath. Try not to clench any other areas of the body, but do be aware of what's happening in other areas of the body to compensate for directing our energy in this muscular contraction down in that area, the glutes squeezing in. Let's take one more inhale. Exhale, release very, very slowly. Notice how those muscles slowly begin to relax and uncontract, if that's a word. Once you come back to that neutral spine, relax the arms down at the sides, adjust the head if needed, close the eyes, and again, just observe what arises for you here. Allowing that breath to flow easy. Maybe you still feel lingering sensation around the glutes, around the pelvis. Good. Now let's begin to walk the feet over to the right edge of the mat. Push into the feet to lift the hips and bring them in alignment with those legs. We're going to pick up the left leg and cross it over the right. So different than our twist. Arms can come out in a different way to create space for the body. And all we're going to do here is take a big breath in with the knees at the top. So left leg's over the right, but the feet are over towards the right edge of the mat. Take a big breath in. As we exhale, we're going to let the legs fall towards the left. So just inhaling, bringing the knees up, maybe slightly rocking to the right. Exhale, allowing them to drop a little further to the left. Maybe this is more progressive for you, where the knees drop a little further each time, gradually, until we find that full range of motion for our bodies here. And just flowing through it. Again, the eyes might be closed. It's really helpful to remove that sense of sight, again, to really experience the sensations, movement, and our poses bring into our bodies without that distraction of the sight and the sense of sight, everything that it picks up. Allowing the muscles of the eyes to be soft and relaxed, maybe finding and just observing displays of color, shadow or light, or a blank slate behind the mind's eye. As the knees do fall, as the legs fall to the left, just noticing where you feel a little more space around the right waist, front of the hip, rib cage. As they come back up and slightly roll to the right, just feeling maybe a little more of a stretch through the left glute. So just really being aware of how this feels. Good. And the next time the knees fall, we're just going to let them fall to wherever they will fully. Maybe turn the chin slightly to the right. Notice if maybe there's some tenderness in the left glute or hip. Make adjustment if that helps to bring a little more comfort. And try to really soften and let those legs fall heavy. Again, noticing where you feel more space around the abdomen, that gentle pull down through the front of the right hip, creating that hollowing out sensation through the low abdomen, especially to the inside of the right hip. And notice where the back's making contact to the floor and where it lifts here. Are you still holding tension? Can you let go just a little bit more? Are you clenching the jaw or furrowing the brow? Can you smooth and lengthen the breath out just a little more? Good. After an exhale, we'll bring everything back to center. We'll keep the left leg crossed over the right. Heel to the right, back to the middle of the mat. Bring your body with it. Take a big breath in. And this time as we exhale, we're going to let the legs fall all the way to the right, maybe turning the head over the left, creating space between the ears and the shoulders. If you'd prefer to support your body with a block or a bolster, pillow or blanket, whatever you've got close by, to allow your body to fully release here, then fill those spaces between your body and the floor. The shoulders should remain in contact with the mat. Just growing the body heavy. Still that gentle awareness and observation, and those easy breaths. Good. Let's take one more full round of breath in and out. And slowly bring that head back. Don't be in a hurry to bring the legs up. Do it very slow. Notice what has to engage. Again, what areas of the body need to support this movement and this muscular contraction. Notice when the abs start to get involved and engage. Once the legs are up, just pause for breath in and out. And then we'll uncross the left leg from the right. Wiggle our way back to center, lift up those hips, give a little wiggle, whatever movement you need, do so intuitively. And as we practice getting to know our bodies more, it'll just become less of an inquiry. We'll just know more intuitively. Let's give those legs a rock from side to side, really paying attention to how the hips are feeling here, the pelvis and the low back. Good. And then once we come back to center, we'll bring the right foot over to meet the left. We'll push into the feet to slide the hips in alignment with. We'll pick up the right leg to cross it over the left at the thigh. We'll take a big breath in as we exhale. Allow the legs just to fall to the right. As we inhale, knees come back up, maybe slightly rolling to the left, but get into your own rhythm of movement. And again, that really serves and honors you and all your layers, not just physically, mentally, emotionally as well. Maybe gradually allowing the legs to fall further towards the right, progressively noticing again where you feel space, where the body lifts away as the legs do fall to the right, where you feel more space, where you feel that muscular contraction come in, and where you feel those muscles begin to relax and soften. Does the head nod slightly, coming to neutral as the knees come up and start slightly drawing down to the chest as the knees fall? Just becoming hyper aware of what's going on in the body without analyzing, just that gentle awareness. And the next time the knees do fall in towards the right, we're just going to pause, maybe dropping the chin slightly to the left, taking a few rounds of breath. And then slowly bringing the head, slowly drawing the knees back up. Moving into our typical twist now, we'll wiggle the left foot in towards the middle of the mat. Bring your body along with if you're on an angle. And then we'll take that big breath in as we exhale. Now we'll allow the legs to fully fall over to the left, maybe using props to support under the legs. The head might fall over to the right, maybe creating more space between the ears and the shoulders. And just scan your body. Notice where you're still holding tension. Notice how it takes that intention, that awareness, acknowledgement. Where are we holding that tension and where can we soften just a little more? Growing heavy and noticing how the body shifts and adjusts as we do allow for that mental tension in our body to begin to slowly, slowly, progressively melt away. Let's just take one more round of breath here. Allowing that exhalation to fully complete. Can you keep your body fully relaxed until we bring that head back to center? And then again, be aware of what contracts to bring those knees back up. When does the core get engaged? Maybe the obliques. Once we're at center, very slowly uncrossing the right leg from the left, shimmy your way back to center. Add that little rock of the knees from side to side. And before we make our way up, let's come back to center and draw the knees in towards the chest, maybe bringing one in, then followed by the other, just squeezing the thighs in towards the ribs or the abdomen, pushing them away. Exhaling, drawing the thighs in. Inhaling, pushing away. Notice that lumbar spine gently rocking closer to the earth and gently pulling away. Let's start with our circles of the knees. Exhale as the knees graze the abdomen. Inhale as they push to the side and away. The abdomen fills up. When it feels right, moving with breath, reversing direction. Good. And once the knees come back in, once again, hands to shins, just pull them in gently, and then we'll release the feet down. We'll shift our hips to one edge of the mat, fall into a fetal position on one side. Take a couple of rounds of breath in your fetal position, maybe staying closed to the eyes. Good. And then very gently press your way up through that upper hand, where we'll transition over. Let's swing the legs around, coming into our tabletop pose. Good. We're going to come into a bit of a flow here. Take a big breath in through the nose as you exhale, clawing the fingertips into the mat, round the spine. The elbows stay soft. The head drops heavy between the arms. Lift the space between the shoulder blades high. As we inhale, the belly drops. We lead with the heart and the chin, taking the gaze slightly upward as the tail slightly lifts. So nothing too exaggerated. Let's start to flow through our extension and flexion of the spine, the torso, keeping the elbows soft and just getting into a rhythm with our own breath before we start to add on. Good option to curl through the toes here. And after our next exhale, push the hips all the way back towards the heels. Drop the forearms, elbows under the shoulders. Lead with the chest and chin to pop back slowly and gently up to our cow pose. Exhaling to round to cat, dropping hips to heels, dropping the elbows, leading with the chest. And again, maybe closing down through the eyes. If there's other movement or different movement you want to welcome into your body, feel free to flow in a free and liberating way, honoring you. Good, let's flow through that one more time. We'll end on the exhale in our cat pose, just that spine rounded towards the sky for an extension of the back body. Pause here, give the head a little nod, a little rock from side to side. And then find your neutral spine. So coming back to tabletop pose, bring the knees in a little closer together. You can keep the left toes curled if you like. If this is too much on the wrist, you can take fists or come to the forearms, but make sure those fingertips are clawing into the mat, the heel of the palm. Take some pressure off the wrist. We're going to lean to the left, pick the right leg up like we're at a fire hydrant out to the right, and we're just going to start with some circles here. You can start with smaller circles, gradually increasing the size. Try not to hyperextend those elbow joints. Keep some softness there. Maybe the gaze comes over the right shoulder. Maybe the eyes are closed and the chin comes over that right shoulder. Try to find your full range of motion. And of course, if you're feeling any pain in the left knee, then add a little cushioning there with even just a fold of your mat. Again, slow your movement down. So half the circle is drawn with your inhale and half with your exhale. We're so used to moving quickly, getting from A to B and B to C and so on through the alphabet in our days, especially this time of year. Good opportunity just to slow it down, get connected with our bodies and our minds. Good, let's gradually start to make our circles a little bit smaller, like a spiral inward. Good, and then we'll pause before bringing that knee down. Come into our tabletop. Now extend that right leg, whatever leg you started on. Lift it up, cross it over the left heel, touch the toes down to the floor and look over the left shoulder. If the elbows are locked, soften them and pick those ribs up away from dropping towards the earth. Nice and active, finding both stability and ease. Feel that space and length open up to this lateral stretch through the right side of the body, feeling a gentle stretch all the way up to the jaw. We'll inhale to come back to center, lifting the leg, and exhale to tuck the knee down. Let's curl those toes if it doesn't bring any pain into the feet. Walk the hands back to the thighs, give ourselves a little rock through the toes, and roll out through the wrists. If you need any movement of the head and neck, maybe just giving it a little turn or a rock from side to side. We'll repeat that on the other side. When you're ready, come on down. Good. Again, the right toes can be curled if you like. We're going to lean into that right side slightly, so make adjustments as needed. And fire hydrant out through the left knee. We'll start with little circles, gradually making our circles larger. And again, slow it down. I also need the reminder. My first instinct is to move quickly, but breathe rhythmically. So just reminding ourselves to slow it down. Trying to find our full range of motion. Half the inhale draws half the circle, and the exhale, the other half. Not worrying if they don't feel like circles, maybe they're more like octagons. Just trying to smooth our movement out. Gradually making those circles smaller. Spiraling in. And then extending the leg out behind us, crossing it over the heel, touching the toes down, looking over or chin to the shoulder, and then picking up those ribs. So not letting the belly drop down, staying active, but neutral through the spine. Good, and after an exhale, we'll bring the head back, lifting through the leg, cross it back out from the hip, drop through the knee, toes curled, walk our hands back. Good, this time we'll clasp the hands and just roll out through the wrists. Again, maybe rocking through the toes, maybe outwardly turning the heels and feeling that nice stretch from the toe lines all the way to the heels. And just reverse your movement through the wrists. Bring the hands down, just roll out a few times through the shoulders in your own way and rhythm and reversing. Good. Let's come on back down to the hands and knees. Release the tops of the feet, smack them out, get the blood flowing. Good. Bring the knees wide, big toes together, sink the hips back. We can't not take a child's pose. Walk the hands forward. Just really relax through the shoulders, that space between the shoulders, feeling the heart melt down even closer towards the earth. A great opportunity to close down through the eyes and just observe once again. Coming back to breath if the mind has a tendency to get active when the body becomes still, as it does for most of us, I believe. Lengthening out these next and final rounds of breath in our child's pose. And at the end of your next exhalation, we'll slowly begin to move our way out, lifting the brow, walking the hands back, maybe walking the knees in, shifting the feet over to one edge of the mat, walking the hands back as we release our bottoms down, and we'll find ourselves in a seated, cross-legged position if available. Finding the fleshy bits pulled back in a way to ground down through our sitting bones. Just give that little wiggle to remember to find ease, feeling our low body stable, rooted, and supporting the core, gently pulling in to support our back body, strengthening those deep core muscles. Good. Arms just resting down at the sides with a softness to the elbows. Let's focus a little bit on the neck and shoulders here. First, just kind of connecting with our breath and feeling the shoulders begin to melt down away from the ears like ice to water. Taking a few rounds to release any lingering tension through the shoulders, feeling broad across the collarbone area at the front of the body. Good. Let's take another breath in together. Keeping that broadness across the chest, let's drop the chin to the chest. Take a nice big round of breath here. Just feeling tension begin to release the base of the neck, the top of the shoulders, and the space between the shoulders. Maybe imagine it coming up and dropping out through the crown of the head. Using our breath, our next inhale, we'll roll the chin over to one shoulder. Maybe the ears stack over one another. We'll use our exhale to float the chin to chest. So very fluidly in your movement, using your inhale to roll the chin or ear to the opposite shoulder. Just starting to rock that head from side to side. Again, if it feels okay, I encourage you to close down through the eyes, or at least just allow all the muscles of the eyes to be heavy and relaxed. So maybe there's a slight part between the lids and a slight gentle gaze. Just getting into your flow, moving with breath. Good. Whatever side you started on, just being mindful to complete the full set by allowing the chin to come over to the opposite side. And then we'll meet back to the chin to the chest, pausing here again for a full round of breath in and out. Finally bringing the head up to center. Good. Let's roll out through those shoulders a little here, just rocking from side to side, and maybe starting to exaggerate that movement, leading with the shoulder, drawing a circle through the right shoulder, and then leaning to the right, drawing a circle with the left shoulder and leaning to the left, almost like we're drawing to a certain degree an infinity symbol or a figure eight. Just start to exaggerate your movement here. Get kind of flowy, create more space through the sides of the body, light through the elbows, maybe coming up onto the fingertips. Good. Now, the next time that right shoulder lifts and kind of draws us to the right, lean forward towards the knee and start to draw circles through the whole upper body, maybe moving to cat-cow, incorporating it in some way, opening through the chest as we lean forward and rounding and extending through the back body as we lean back. Don't worry about those sit bones staying grounded. Notice how as we roll our body forward to the left, the right sit bone might kind of lift away and we'll feel length through that inner thigh. Get those shoulders active, nice and exaggerated. So we're creating as much space in our body as we can in a gentle way. Good. Just one more time in this direction. And then when it feels right in your coordinated breath and movement, we're going to reverse. Again, just takes a few rounds of breath to really get everything involved and active and start to exaggerate our movement with breath. And one more time in this direction. We're going to end with the spine rounding to the back, the hands hooked to the front of the knees, the chin tucked. Maybe just let the body kind of float towards the back wall. Give that head a little nod, no. Good. And then we'll come back up to an upright seated position. Check our time. So we're going to keep the right knee as it is. Take the opposite fold of the left knee in so it comes towards the sole of the right foot for deer pose. And just try to square the shoulders back over the hips here. So you might feel a little bit of a lift under that thigh. If you need support under the knee or the butt, then go ahead and add that in. Good. Let's bring the hands together at the heart to begin. Just relaxing down through the shoulders. As we breathe in, imagine that breath filling any areas of tightness or tension with space. And on the exhales, imagine that breath flowing out through the body, taking any tension from those areas with it. Good. At the end of an exhale, release the right hand down, tenting through the fingertips, just supporting in the body, staying upright, still a slight engagement through the core. We're going to bring the left hand to the back of the head. Again, soften the shoulders down. Take a big breath in, maybe slightly look to the left, opening up through the shoulder. As we exhale, cross the left elbow towards the right, looking down towards those right fingertips, or again, eyes are closed. Moving with breath, inhale, opening up, dropping down through that right shoulder, exhale, folding over towards the right. Just kind of getting into a flow. Again, there's no right or wrong. If something kind of different movement feels good in your body, then welcome it in. Still relaxing those legs nice and heavy, making sure we're not forcing any movement or pose in our bodies. As the left elbow drops down towards the right arm or the floor on the right side, and notice what opens up, where you feel the spine move into a gentle twist, where you feel a little more space maybe between the left side of the rib cage. And moving very slowly, lengthening and slowing your breath down for more slow and mindful movement. Good, and one more here. We're going to pause with the spine rounded, so with the left elbow all the way over towards the right. Take a nice big breath in and a big breath out. And then slowly come on back up. Good, release the hands and just roll out through those shoulders. We'll lean back into the hands, release the legs out front one at a time, give them a little windshield wipe before we move over to the other side. And then like we're going to cross the legs, we'll drop that left leg down, and then we'll bring our shoulders over the hips to release the right leg to an internal rotation. We'll take a moment just to activate the core, to ground our bottom down. There might be a little space under the right sit bone, and relax the shoulders down. Good. Maybe bringing the hands to the heart, or they can rest down, relaxing the shoulders, the jaw, the brow, and finding our breath. Again, if you feel any kind of torquing through any of the joints, especially through the right leg, if it doesn't feel good for the knee to drop down organically, you can add something underneath the knee or underneath the right glute. And then when you're ready, drop down through the left hand, maybe just tenting through the fingers to help support you. Take the right hand to the back of the skull, relax the shoulders, and then we'll inhale, open to the right, exhale, cross over again, keeping that left elbow bent. Try not to compress through the left side of the body here. Maintain length and space. So we're not curling our spine to drop closer towards the left side of the mat. We're finding space through both sides of the body, getting into our own flow, adding movement or pausing anywhere it feels good to pause, but also observing as we are flowing where we feel more space opening up. Maybe we can slow it down. Maybe we can soften the eyes and relax the jaw. Good, and one more time, we'll end with the right elbow over towards the left, just pausing there, softening in, drop the shoulder. Don't pull on the head here, just a gentle connection between the palm and the back of the skull. And then we'll inhale, come back up. Exhale, release the right arm. Good, take another breath in and out. And then we'll lean back into the hands, bring those legs out front and give them a little rock from side to side. Maybe it feels better to extend the legs and just kind of bounce them out a little, just whatever feels good for you. Grabbing a sip of water, adding a layer if you like. We're gonna meet down on our mat from here. Just finding your way down to the mat, keeping your props close by if you want to add them in for your final resting pose. We're going to come into one more somatic exercise here. Just gentle movement before we allow our bodies to take a little well-deserved rest. So finding your typical shavasana state with the feet at the bottom of the mat, the crown, the top of the mat, the arms just resting out at the sides. And what we're going to do here is start to add engagement through the legs by flexing through the heels, toes pointing up, maybe drawing back towards the knees or shins. Good. Arms can be down at the sides or overhead here. We're going to start to just flutter through the legs, not too quickly. We're going to keep the breath rhythmic and smooth. We won't be breathing as quickly as our movement. So it's going to look like this, just fluttering, pointing the toes, flexing the heels. Letting the rest of the body just move in unison or as an effect of this intentional movement through the legs. So try and get that breath rhythmic and slow and flowy so we're not breathing as quickly as our movement. Notice what happens in the body as we add this flexion and extension through the feet, the heels. The head might kind of rock or nod rather. Maybe you start to feel some muscular contraction through the upper outer thighs. Keeping this movement going for one more inhale. And then exhale and fully relax the body and just become aware with those eyes closed of what sensations you feel, not just on the outer edges of your physical body, but just below the surfaces of your physical body. The breath, the energy flow. Slowing your breath down if it's become quicker, lengthening it out if it's become jagged or short. Good. One more time. Turn the toes up, flex the heels, and prepare with a slow breath. Keeping the breath slow and rhythmic. And we're going to flutter one more time. Keeping it going for just a couple more rounds of breath. And then we'll take one more breath in. As we exhale, relax the body. With the eyes closed, again, just becoming aware of everything that arises for you here. What arises, sensation, energy, vibration. If you're comfortable where you are, just settling in, feeling your body grow heavier with each round of breath. Making any adjustments that you need to find more comfort here. And just a very gentle awareness. Letting go of any control of your breath. Letting go of any lingering tension or muscular contraction. Just become the seer for this next moment. Gently starting to witness your body, maybe without moving, maybe with the eyes still closed. Notice where you feel your body is matter, the parts of your body where there might still be lingering sensations of your energetic body, different parts that might feel more like energy or sensation. And starting to identify all the surfaces of your body that make contact to the surfaces beneath you. Deciding if you'd like to just linger a little longer in your Shavasana. If it didn't feel quite long enough and you have the opportunity to stay, I invite you to do so. If you're ready and on a schedule today, I invite you just to begin to make little movements in your body, starting with the fingers and the toes. Maybe taking a very gentle lengthening stretch, reaching the arms overhead and adding the flexion through the heels or a point down through the toes. And gradually, if it calls to you, taking a bend into the knees, allowing the elbows to drop down, to the sides or resting the arms down at the sides, maybe a little windshield wiper of those knees before pressing the hips to one edge of the mat and allowing your legs to fall, bringing your whole body into that fetal position, maybe pausing for a full round of breath in and out. And ever so gently, gradually pressing the upper hand into the mat to transition to an upright seated position, grounding back down through your sitting bones, just taking your time, maybe crossing the legs in the opposite way you typically do, just to try to compensate a little for the being creatures of habit. And then we're going to bring the hands in front of the chest in a Padma mudra or lotus. So the outer thumbs, pinkies align the base of the hands, just spreading the fingers out like a lotus flower. Holding these hands in front of the heart, feeling an openness and receptivity here. First, to repeat your intention to yourself. And then just to send gratitude towards your physical body, focusing on all of your abilities rather than the things that are challenging or that you can't do. Sending gratitude to your mind and emotions for carving time out for wellness and a better quality of life, relationships. And then maybe joining the fingers, connecting the thumbs to the sternum, relax those shoulders. Take one more big breath in and let it go. The light within me sees and honors the light within each of you. Namaste.